The Emperor has made a critical error, and the time of our attack has come. Eh? Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of ZETAS Prevails. We're talking about Rebel Fighters today in the latest Faction Essentials video. So, Mon Mothma, more important than ever with her squad right now, because Iden Versio has come and totally booted her off of defense. I guess the only reason we would really be that concerned, like we would want to put her on defense, is if people are going to take Iden and put her on defense, which, I mean, there's a good argument for it. Iden Versio is a huge problem. She is hugely problematic. It's rough, guys. But if Iden wants to, even at the 3 or 4 stars, with you know, some like low relic characters, even like gear 12 troopers, she just destroys this Mon Mothma team. And so, I mean, it is so brutal. And I mean, that's how it works. It's fine. We're going to be using it on offense quite a bit more. This is kind of like the mainstay team on defense for people, and Iden Versio just counters it blind. It is disgusting, and so we need to learn how to play it, right? Learn how to mod it. You can't just throw it on defense and throw like wigs and Chase in there and be like, "You're good, we're gonna get holds." I mean, you might get holds, but that's only because you're playing scrubs in GAC. People who know what they're doing are probably going to be able to bypass that fairly easily. So we're going to talk about Mothra teams, how you can also beat, I mean, you can use this team a lot. I call her Mothra, by the way. Everyone always asks me. It's just a thing. I heard someone else actually call her that once. It was like, and I thought it was so funny. It's, you know, it's the Godzilla moth creature is what it is, and so I call her Mothra sometimes interchangeably. If you guys don't like it, then you're going to have to just deal with it, because I just do it without even thinking these days. But we're going to talk about how to use her team, what the best team available is, how to calculate Kyle Katarn's speed, how to also, build the team and mod it, how to use it when we're actually fighting in GAC, and I'll show you guys, some practical examples. I also have in the video description, I have an older video, but I have before Kyle Katarn came out, this team was something I developed for a long time, trying to make sure that this team could consistently beat General Grievous teams that did not have BB-8 on them. And whereas things have kind of changed and shifted these days, and General Grievous is a lot of times on offense, I'm still going to show you guys the footage of that and help you understand the theory for it. So lots and lots of really cool stuff. You can go check out the video to that in my video description, as I said. And that being said, before we jump into it, guys, just want to remind you, if you want to support the channel for free, all you've got to do is hit that thumbs up button or leave a comment in the comment area, something that will help me mount the algorithm, help us mount the algorithm. This channel's growing, and I really appreciate your help, but we want to grow it more. And if this Faction Essentials series has been at all instrumental in you playing better or understanding the mechanics of how the team works, how various teams work, then that's a great way. Just a little step toward carpal tunnel is all it takes to help support this channel, guys. It's all it is. I'm also going to give you guys information on how to get to that Kyle Katarn speed calculator. Not that it's a complicated thing, but it is something that I offer to my patrons for free. And I mean, obviously, you have to pay to get into Patreon, but you can also find the link to that in the video description if you want to support me for not free. So anyways, folks, let's jump into the mechanics of the thing first, of the beast. Whoa, it's the beast. Madness. How'd we get to the beast? I don't know what I'm saying, guys. What's a relic even? A Hannah pin. Oh, this is like a necklace. Who's Hannah? Alright, guys, so she's Mon Mothma. A lot of people have her relic, and then they're just like, you know what, we're just gonna throw like wigs and Chase in with her and just call it good, because we had to gear those guys up at some point anyways, and that's not a good strategy, guys. The best team, obviously it has Mon Mothma, and then I'll show you guys the best team, and you may cringe a little bit. I'm also even going to show you the best team for 3v3, though I won't show you any footage for that because I know you guys hate 3v3 and all that. So, all right, Mon Mothma, a lot of cool stuff. Her basic, she dispels debuffs on the weakest rebel. She also heals rebel allies for 6% health and protection. She also is able to equalize all the health percentages. This also heals people on their protection and their health and everyone. Yeah, so if you have a healer or support on the team, then it restores 15% health and protection to all allies. So the healers actually heal with this. And remember, this is it's a rally. She rallies Mon Mothma and all rebel fighters. So she is a support. So that means when she does this, she is also going to heal everyone. So if she's the only support, she still heals everyone. Health and protection. The tanks all taunt, and the attackers assist. So she calls everyone to assist. Here's the thing. Most of the time, and we'll see that in the leadership, she calls everyone assists, and it does like a small percentage of their normal damage. In this case, though, so everyone's going to assist, but so attackers assist at full damage. That's what this is. The attackers assist based on, on the roll. If they're rallied, they get to assist. And so instead of doing like 15% of their normal damage or whatever it is, we'll look at that on her leadership. This one means that she's able to, like, they're all able to do their full strength attacks. And so a lot of times, like, so this also revives a random rebel fighter ally, which I don't know. I've noticed that it doesn't seem that random. It seems like the most recent rebel fighter to die is the one who is revived, though. Maybe I haven't really studied that, guys. I'm sorry to say. It says random. I guess we'll just go with random. But it does heal them for health and revives them for health and protection, and so everyone thinks of this as the revive one, and it is the revive one. But keep in mind, this is also the one that you do way more damage than usual because the attacker's assisting, not just doing a modicum of damage. So just keep that in mind. Now we get the worthless guy here. I call him worthless guy, not because he's worthless. He's actually one of the most important characters, and he is the key to countering Grievous, actually. This is why you want Mothra to be pretty quick. But here's the thing. He's able to do a lot of really cool stuff, and a lot of people tell me that I have to call him Combat Carl on my streams, or at least they used to, and I got so annoyed I just started calling him Worthless Guy obstinately, and that eventually, like, people stopped complaining about it for whatever reason. They'd be like, but he's not worthless, and I'm like, because I know he's not worthless, he's amazing. He's also not Combat Carl, because he's just not. He's worthless guy, alright, guys? I don't need to call him that. So he's worthless guy, and, his most important thing, guys. So he escalates things, obviously gets better and stuff. The best thing, though, is, he's always assisting, because he's a rebel fighter, and he's an attacker, so remember, he does that extra damage and stuff. But he dispels all buffs on target enemy, and then he does physical damage. That's fine. So eventually, when he gets promoted, he can also do daze, which is pretty nice. And he can also, when he uses his special, he has to get promoted at one point. You guys can read the mechanics of that. He can also give everyone defense penetration, which who knows if that's actually any good, because they're not really being that clear about it. I know someone's going to come and post a mountain of text in my comments about how it works, and that's fine. I appreciate you. So as unique, he also... So he has a unique that gives everyone, all the rebel fighter allies, plus 15% critical damage, which is kind of laughable in some ways, but he also gives them all 30% tenacity, which is crazy. This team is actually best when you mod them for a ton of tenacity, as you will see. Her leadership is something really interesting, guys. So she calls everyone else to assist, but they all deal 90% less damage, so they all just, like, it's death by 1,000 paper cuts. But remember, you have like 5 characters that can actually hit from this team, so they're all, it's almost like whenever someone attacks or does a move, then everyone else is going to be doing, it's almost like one other person assisting for like 50% damage. That's not really equivalent exactly, but I mean, something. it adds up, I guess, is all I'm saying. So, you know, there's other things. You guys can read it. We don't need to comment on it. The biggest thing that I really think is interesting, and this is why people shouldn't underestimate it, it's like geos. Like, you guys all at this point have seen, like, you know, when a geo team is all the way in the red, like from Treya, but the geo team wins, then you jump in and fight, and the geos aren't all in the red. Like, they're suddenly, like, healthy and happy and everything because that brood alpha spawns a brute with full health and protection. Then their stuff equalizes and it's suddenly very good. Like, you can't or you don't want to underestimate just how incredibly resilient that team is. Not to mention they all gain all of that bonus health and protection and everything from the lead. So you know, that's Geonosians. It's different from Rebel fighters, but again, these guys are crazy resilient compared to what they look like just on the stat sheet. So remember, so Rebel fighter allies, and remember, she is not a Rebel fighter. Well, but in this case, she and all Rebel fighter allies, so she's including herself in this, so they all gain their 8% of their combined base max health, max protection, offense, defense, potency, and tenacity. So, I mean, the offense, I don't care about, like, health, max protection, offense. I mean, the whole team really loves relics, honestly, and I haven't had time to put a ton of relics on them, unfortunately, or resources too, but the things that really stand out, guys, tenacity. 8% tenacity. If they all have 100% tenacity, then all of them gain 8%. So it's not just a small amount. They don't just gain a small amount. Sorry, I had to pause for 1 second. They don't just gain a small amount. They gain, so if everyone is 100%, that gets them up to, 500% total. And then they get 8% of that, which is going to be like, they're going to get like 40 tenacity each just from that. So then they're all base like 140, and then Rebel or Worthless guy, once he is summoned, he gives them another 30% tenacity. And as you'll see, Mon Mothma has a really high base tenacity anyway, so she can be well over 200 tenacity and make it so that she's very difficult to debuff, which is very nice. And then finally, this one, you'd want to remember, you need both Zetas on her. You absolutely do. But here's the other thing. You need to remember she's plus 50 speed. So she's very slow base speed, which means speed mods are just really frustrating, but you still need them. And on top of that, though, plus 50 speed is a very important thing to remember. So if you want to mod her well, and I keep stealing speed, guys. If you don't want to use Kyle Katarn, if you use Kyle Katarn, then you can slow her down. If you don't want to use Kyle Katarn, which you need to, frankly. I mean, until we get a new Rebel fighter leader, Kyle Katarn is going to be really important for this team. But if you want to use this team to counter General Grievous, you can't really use Kyle Katarn, actually. It's kind of a strange situation, and he makes it harder to counter General Grievous. But if you want to counter General Grievous, you need to get her to be the fastest on the team. She needs to be right around 300 speed or so that she goes first and someone's Worthless guy. You guys will see this in the video that I show you guys, but otherwise you want to get her fast-ish. I mean, 265 is not super fast. I keep stealing her speed mods, unfortunately, guys. And then if you're countering Grievous, you want her tenacity to be right around 200% tenacity. You put the tenacity cross on her and then upgrade it. You slice it if you're a good person. If you're not, then you do just hang out like me. And then keep in mind, guys, so I've put less and less priority on these guys because the things that they're doing is not super, like, it's not the thinnest of margins. It's either an overwhelming win or an overwhelming loss, and so you don't need crazy awesome mods, frankly. I mean, you need specific modding for certain things. Like, you want them all to be generally tenacious, but then you want Kyle Katarn to be fast, and otherwise everything else can just kind of go by the wayside. So, I mean, they all share offense. So if you wanted to put this offense cross, or the offense square, she has an offense stat. She just doesn't use it. She doesn't attack. But, you want a tenacity set here as well. You want to get her, like I said, right around 200 tenacity, which means that she ends up being somewhere like around 270% tenacity, something truly ludicrous. once you get her to that. And that means that General Grievous teams, even though they have really high potency, take a long time to debuff her and her friends. So otherwise, I mean, just speed. And I mean, I just keep devaluing her stuff, unfortunately. She doesn't need to be super fast though at this point, guys. So you know, that's Mon Mothma herself. And you know, the rest of the team. Oh, while we're talking about this, guys, Chupio actually fits really well with this team, and just because he assists all the time, and just keep in mind he's not a rebel fighter. He works really well with them. He does a lot of cool stuff, but at the end of the day, he should be going with Commander Luke. At least right now, he has no place on the Mothra team unless you want to be silly, and I don't want to accuse anyone of being silly. So yeah, he works really well with them. I would not advise putting Chupio on it. So, okay. So, no, we talked about Mothra. When anyone goes on the team, everyone else is called to assist. So, the next 4 characters are the like kind of ideal team. And I think that the only question in my mind is if you want to swap out Cara Dune for Bistan, you could. Cara Dune also gives, she's a tank and she has a lot of high stats that you kind of want on the team. So, talk about Cara Dune. Here's the thing, guys. The best team, gosh, okay, I'll talk about that for a sec. The best team really is this up top. Like, you want Kyle Katarn, even if he is only, like gear 11. You want him to be on your team if you can. My alt hasn't made the transition yet because I don't have gear, but otherwise, the rest of the team, and you want relics on them, guys. Like, Pow wants relics. Eventually I'll get some on House Rebel Scout because they're all stat hungry and they all share their stats. Every time you boost Rebel Scout, you are in a small way boosting the rest of the team. And so if you could get them all relic 7, that's great. Otherwise, I mean, a good goal would be relic 5 on all of them, frankly, guys. And you want all of their Zetas, especially Pow's. You need Pow's Zeta. Really important. I don't know what Kyle Katarn's does, but I'm sure it's important as well. Don't give him his Omicron, not yet, unless you, I don't know, if you want to have fun, I guess that's fine. Cara Dune is also a good one. You can put Bistan in, but here's the thing, guys. This is a turn meter squad. The still team runs off of a lot of turn meter, and so you need them to, you want them to, you want to run characters that complement each other. So Cara Dune, she's kind of got the reverse of turn meter gain. So, I mean, she's gaining turn meter and all that. She's also the fastest rebel fighter possible. She's a little bit faster than Hoth Rebel Scout, and you can make her super fast. I don't do that. I choose to just make her kind of tanky, and I typically, so on a Mon Mothma team countering General Grievous, you want the fastest person to be Mon Mothma, which is crazy, I realize, because it's so hard to get her that fast because of her base speed. But Cara Dune, you have to be very cautious to keep her speed lower than Mon Mothma, because you can make her extremely fast if you want to. So people used to do that. I think it's a waste of speed mods, frankly. So whereas I do have speed set on her, I also have tenacity set, and that's the kind of thing I'm focusing on a little extra tenacity on her, a little bit of speed, and that's basically it, guys, because she gets potency up quite a bit, and when she gets potency up, then she doesn't need more potency. So, I mean, things that she does, the biggest thing, guys, beyond having a really, really slow attack animation that it drives me crazy trying to use Nest to solo her, because she's responsible for like a full minute's worth of stupid animations, and that's 4x. Here's the thing, guys, so this one, so you do want potency. She gains potency up. Then after that, so it says then deals physical damage to all enemies and removes 50% of their turn meter. So this is kind of the reverse turn meter thing. She doesn't help their team gain turn meter other than like the passively handing it to Pow, but she also removes 50% turn meter from everyone, and that requires a potency check, keep in mind, but you don't need a ton of potency because she has potency up, and Empire allies or enemies are stunned for 1 turn, which is interesting. You'd think she'd be good against Iden Versio, but it's not really true. So, I mean, Cara Dune's good in a lot of squads and stuff. She's also good at making me sad that she's no longer with the Disney franchise, or rather the Star Wars franchise, but we don't have to talk about that. We don't talk about Cara. No. So we've got Pow. He is the, man, if you talk, I have this stupid phrase. I say that Mon Mothma is a turd polisher. She takes characters and she takes them from zero to hero, and Pow is like the perfect example. He used to have the most worthless Zeta, and they didn't change it. They just added Mon Mothma with the rules she has, and that Zeta is suddenly so freaking good because he can spam this cooldown 11 every single time almost. He doesn't have to, unless you're in a weird circumstance, he always just spams this. He calls everyone to assist, and keep in mind, this is a non-attacking, this doesn't attack. And so if you're facing someone who, like Magnagard, who wants to counter, if he does this, then he calls everyone to assist, including Worthless Guy. Worthless Guy dispels Magnagard, and then Magnagard can't counter because this wasn't an attack. Pow just yelled. He yelled, Sakala, or whatever. He also gives everyone offense up, which is nice. And otherwise, I mean, that's almost the only thing, guys. He just gains a ton of turn meter. Whenever an rebel ally uses a basic attack, it reduces Pow's cooldowns by 1, and Pow gains 5% turn meter. So all those people always assisting all the time, constantly are reducing his cooldowns, and he's gaining turn meter for it. So I gave him some offense. Really, look at his stats, guys. I didn't even put tenacity on him. He's just kind of garbage. I put a little bit of speed on him, and then really, you just want to kind of boost his offense. And honestly, this team could use a lot better mods from me. I could do a lot better, but you don't, like I said, you don't need really, really good mods with this team because the mechanics are so strong. You can make it a lot stronger, but I just haven't seen the need for it yet. Kyle Katarn is the new hotness, guys. He is really cool, and it's not just because he's attractive, which I don't know if he is actually. Animated characters are strange that way, but here's the thing: he does a lot of cool stuff. You guys can read his abilities. He has a really cool animation and everything. Lots of cool stuff. Just really neat stuff that he does. He boosts his team. He gives them extra damage. He does lots of he prevents people from doing things like he does the force influence so they can't assist or counterattack or gain buffs. He can do it as an AoE eventually because he trains to be a Jedi with the rebel forces, and it's a cool thing. The biggest part of his kit, though, guys, and I gotta be careful, I don't want to accidentally apply an Omicron that I will super duper regret, but here's the thing. At the start of each encounter, he gains 10% turn meter for each other rebel fighter ally. So that means when they use each other rebel fighter ally, that means not himself. So he's a rebel fighter, but he's not counted in this equation. So he gains 10% turn meter for each other rebel fighter. And then on top of that, Mon Mothma is not a rebel fighter either. So he gains 30% turn meter in this case. All right, sorry, I had to pause again for 1 second. Here's the thing. You gain 30% turn meter. The way you calculate 30% turn meter, guys, and this is very important because it's different. People wonder how this all works, and I'll show you guys the calculator in just a minute. But if you want to do it by hand, if you want to do it for free, etc., you take his speed, his base speed, and you divide it by 0.7 because he's gaining 30% turn meter. So you just subtract that 30% from 100%, so it's 0.7. You divide it by 0.7, and that's the number you get. In this case, if you get him to 280 speed, then his effective speed is 400. Now, let me show you the calculator real quick, guys. Here it is. So you can see that this is the one that if you sign up for Patreon, you just have access to it at all times on Google Sheets, and here it is. So you just enter what speed your Kyle Katarn is. So let's say he is 284 like mine. Oh, if my keyboard was actually any good. 284. So it automatically calculates this. So remember, because it's turn meter, this actually counts. He's gaining the turn meter, and so it goes into overflow, the turn meter overflow thing. And so the decimals actually matter. So my Kyle Katarn is an effective 405 speed, 0.71. That means he would go before, if someone else that he was trying to outspeed was 405 speed, then he would go before them because of turn meter overflow rules. So, and remember, if he's in 3v3, he's not going to gain nearly as much, because Kyle Katarn with Mon Mothma, those are two non-rebel fighters. He'll only gain 10% there. Yeah, so keep in mind too, guys, if you do that, there's also another calculator for the Mando with Zam team, if you care about it. If Zam is 300 speed, how fast does your Mando need to be so that he doesn't go before Bosk goes, etc.? So, that's Omicron Zam. And I'm going to be adding more speed calculators as well over time. So, keep that in mind, guys. If you want to sign up for that Patreon, do it. It's in the link video description. I would super appreciate it. You get access to the arena bot, etc. But we need to stop doing the sales pitch. So, just something to keep in mind. If you don't want to have to calculate it, it's right here. You don't have to remember it. You just plug in your speeds and you get more speeds, the effective speed. So, that being said, Kyle Katarn is the one who goes first now. It's impossible to get Mon Mothma fast enough to go faster than him. That's why you can't really do the Grievous counter anymore. Hoth Rebel Scout has a few interesting things. He can stun here. It's a 55% chance to stun. So and when he uses his special, if he does a crit, then he gains 100% turn meter, which is super nice. And then the other thing here, though, guys, is his basic. The basic is the thing you really care about. So if he doesn't crit on that special, you can kind of really stall your team out a little bit, because then he doesn't get the chance to do this. But every time and so he's assisting every time someone goes. And this is the kind of the RNG piece of it too. So 40% chance when he does his basic to gain 25% turn meter for everyone, for all allies. This could be on, like, anyone on the team gets this, actually. 25% turn meter for all allies. And so, I mean, I put some potency on him. That doesn't really matter. Like, putting crit chance on him so that he can crit with his 55% chance to stun. Like, you can't rely on that stun, but as long as you crit, then he gains 100% turn meter. Everyone else is shooting, and it just adds to the turn meter madness. So you need to make sure that he's going to crit when he goes. So my crit chance is decent, and then remember, you're also, the more relic levels you add, you also get that. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Just make sure his crit chance is pretty high. If it's not high enough, then I guess just use basics. Mostly just best move to use basics. So that's the main team, folks. In 3v3, believe it or not, it's actually K2 and Cassian. They kill Grievous teams so consistently. This is one of my favorite things. Keep in mind that Cassian has an AoE that gives everyone the ability, or that gives healing immunity to your opponent. So sometimes you want to use Cassian. Having him geared is really, really nice. K2 does a cool daze, etc. The other team, so if you're trying to kill General Grievous, you don't have Kyle Katarn, you have Biston. He's the other one I want to mention, and he's really good with his ship. Obviously his ship is really strong, but he does Frenzy, so he gains a ton of turn meter every time. He gains Frenzy for 4 turns, and all allies gain 20% turn meter when he uses this ability. It's a cooldown 7, which is crazy, but his Frenzy, it's funny, this is the one place that it defines what Frenzy does in the game almost. I can't remember if there's anywhere else. I don't think it says on Bosk's kit, for instance, but whenever an ally uses a special ability, he gains 100% turn meter, and the duration is for 4 turns, so he gains so much turn meter over the course of 4 turns, and then he slows down a little bit. But then on top of that, he uses this ability to, if he has enough potency, he remove turn meter equal to his potency on the enemy target, so he can steal their turn meter. Remember, it requires a potency check, so it doesn't always work, but if you get his potency high, remember, 83% doesn't seem high until you realize that the rest of the team is sharing their potency, so it's considerably higher. And once again, he does some cool stuff. He doesn't need crazy mods. I have 6E mods on him because of his ship, of course, because his ship is super important to have 6E mods on. Okay, so we've talked about the mechanics for like half an hour, which is crazy. I'm gonna show you guys a few examples of what we want to kill. Remember, this team runs on turn meters, so if you're facing teams with some way to reduce turn meter, like a Hux team, for instance, then maybe choose a different team unless you're okay with just going at normal speed. It also doesn't work against like Jedi Master Kenobi, as you may imagine, but any team that really does well against turn meter gain, like Treya, for instance. I've killed Treya with this squad before, but it is so dirty. It's so messy. So let's go and look at some video. Here is the kind of standard team you want to be facing with Mon Mothma. Because you dispel all the things, and this is with Kyle Katarn being fast and relict and all that. You don't need him to be that way, but the faster he is, the better for you, obviously. But so there's a lot of things that are tricky about this squad, right? There's the Wampa on there, which does double damage against rebels. Yeah, there's Django, who does not allow you to revive, and you can't do damage because it's on a separatist team. There's a taunt here. Count Dooku can stun on his counters. Nute can just power his whole team up and extort you, etc. And so there's not a problem here, though, guys. There's no problem here at all. So, just start by hitting L3, I guess. And here's the problem. We don't have Worthless Guy yet. If we want Mon Mothma to actually summon Worthless Guy early on, you have to make her kind of fast. So there we go. Summon Worthless Guy. And now we can work on Wampa. Remember, when you do the call from Pow, he is, no one can counter that. So now we're just hitting L3 because everyone else is in stealth. Okay, Django set us on fire. What a dick. But we can just keep moving on. And remember, every time someone takes a turn, Mon Mothma dispels one of those debuffs. So now we can hit Dooku, and he's gone. Now look at this. Cara Dune paid her extortion, and everyone else assisted, because that counts as her doing a special. So now I guess we can hit Nute for a while. And then once we take out Nute, so I'm saving the big hit from Mon Mothma. So finally, you just do basics here, because otherwise you get into this turn meter loop, because Pow is getting a ton of turn meter from his special and from his unique, and the rest of the team is getting a ton of turn meter from it. And then Hoth Rebel Scout is also consistently doing basics and giving everyone 25% turn meter lumps, and Cara Dune is reducing turn meter. Okay, sorry, the music distracted me for a sec. Cara Dune is also reducing turn meter on people, and so there's this turn meter loop that can go on, and you can time out against this because he has damage immunity right now. So what you're doing here, we just do basics, because that's what stops Pow from being able to gain that turn meter loop. And it still takes a long time because you're still gaining a ton of turn meter all the time. But eventually Django does get enough turns that his healing immunity is gone, and we can just take him out. And that is that. Good. Banner 65. Let's go to one of the things that this team does best, actually, guys, is Galactic Legend Cleanup. It doesn't do it well against some Galactic Legends, but works well against Supreme Leader Kylo, works well against Rey, actually, surprisingly, works well against Jedi Master Luke, and I believe that's it. The other three are pretty not good for this team. But Supreme Leader Kylo, you want to bring like bays here. Keep in mind, you need to keep all rebel fighters on this team. Well, at least rebels, because then you can't summon Worthless Guy. If they're not all rebels, at least, you can't summon Worthless Guy. So this is a Gear 12 bays. Remember, he's stat sharing with everyone too. Against Supreme Leader Kylo at full health and protection. This is a good cleanup squad against him. So summon Worthless Guy, and keep in mind we don't have Kyle Katarn. This is on super speed because this is on a video. I'll try to link the video as well. This is a video on how to clean up Galactic Legends with Mon Mothma and with bounty hunters. And so, I mean, remember, Supreme Leader Kylo is dangerous prey because he will totally he'll prevent that revive on people, right? Because that's who he is. The people can't revive from his hits. And so eventually, I mean, you just got to be careful here, is all I'm saying, guys. So eventually you can outweigh his potential damage with with your own weight of fire and your turn meter loop. So that works. You guys can see the whole video. It's in the video description, as I said. And finally, the one I've been promising all along, a practical example. You can see my face up top. Double Zareth, lucky you. We're going to use my Mothma team counter that doesn't have Kyle Katarn in it. So keep in mind, we have Mothma at 300 speed right now. So she's going first, because most Grievous teams are just not going to be that fast. So summon Worthless Guy, and then eventually, yeah, so B2 is here, and in 5v5 you kill B2 next, because you don't want him to keep doing his thing. So I'm looking here, trying to decide if I want to try to reduce turn meter, because that might give B2 a bunch of turn meter. So, I mean, that worked out for us. Now, do we want to try to stun him, because he's got crit avoid sometimes, you know, or try to do a crit on him? But yeah, and that didn't even work out for me. I didn't crit him, so that was foolish, because he has a really high crit avoid when combined with B1 here. So try to kill him before Grievous actually gets a turn. So B2 is gone. Remember, if Magna Guard ever does get to assist, you can always dispel him, or sorry, counter. He'll taunt. You want to be able, your POW is capable of just dispelling it just by calling Worthless Guy, and then there's no counter remaining. So, all right, kill B1, which is really easy, obviously, and then, you know, shoot Magna Guard. You can see that, there we go. So POW just called everyone to assist, because it wasn't an actual attack. Then nothing happened. So keep in mind, you don't want to kill Nute here. Nute is off grounds until you kill Grievous. So, you know, kill Magna Guard, and then now we're trying to get all of our health and protection back. And okay, so call everyone to assist. Everyone does extra damage, and now we can kill Nute. So yay for us. You can see that Cara Dune has full health and protection. No one else does, because she has a bigger health pool and she is able to revive a little bit better than them. And yeah, this team works really well against General Grievous teams. It's a lot of fun if you have them all modded. Remember, it doesn't work against BB-8 versions. Works just fine against Droideka versions though. So that was a 56 in the old style, and yeah, that's basically it, folks. That's how the team works. Just lots of assists, lots of really, you know, lots of crazy turn meter movement, and that's it, guys. Lots of turn meter, all the turn meter, a lot of inconvenient characters to gear and stuff. But you need their Zetas, you need their relics if you can, and they do some really good work for you, and they're super efficient against most squads. Grievous is a little bit different because he does all those AoEs every time he kills someone, but it's a lot of fun, guys. So I'm going to call it here. Remember to check out the Mon Mothma team guide on how to kill Grievous, how to set it up for that in the video description, and I'll also be placing the cleanup guide with the Bounty Hunter teams and Mon Mothma teams to be able to clean up Galactic Legends. Both of those in the video description. Please leave a like if this helped, or leave a comment or whatever. Yeah, and we'll call it good, guys. Thank you all so much for watching, and remember that in all things, Zereth prevails.